The man immortalized in history as Babur was born on 15th of February 1483 in the Principality of Fergana. He was the creator and emperor of the northern Indian Mughal dynasty. Babur was a military explorer, a distinguished soldier, a brilliant poet and diarist, a statesman, and a descendant of both the Turkic conqueror Timur Tamerlane and the Mongol conqueror Genghis Khan. Babur came from the Barlas tribe of Mongol origin, but isolated members of the tribe considered themselves Turks in language and customs through long residence in Turkish regions. Hence Babur, though called a Mughal, drew most of his support from Turks, and the empire he founded was Turkish. His family had become members of the Chagatai clan, by which name they are known. He was fifth in male succession from Timur and 13th through the female line from Genghis Khan. Babur's father, Umar Sheikh Mirza, ruled the small principality of Fergana to the north of the Hindu Kush mountain range. Because there was no fixed law of succession among the Turks, every prince of the Timurids considered it his right to rule the whole of Timur's dominions. Those territories were vast, and hence the prince's claims led to unending wars. The Timurid princes, moreover, considered themselves kings by profession, their business being to rule others without observing too precisely whether any particular region had formed a part of Timur's empire. Babur's father, true to that tradition, spent his life trying to recover Timur's old capital of Samarkand, now in Uzbekistan, and Babur followed in his footsteps. The qualities needed to succeed in that dynastic warfare were the ability to inspire loyalty and devotion, to manage the turbulent factions often caused by family feuds, and to draw revenue from the trading and agricultural classes. Babur eventually mastered them all, but he was also a commander of genius. For 10 years, 1494–1504, Babur sought to recover Samarkand and twice occupied it briefly, in 1497 and 1501. But Muhammad Shayban Khan, a descendant of Genghis Khan and ruler of the Uzbeks beyond the Jaxartes River, had an opponent more powerful than even his closest relatives. In 1501, Babur was decisively defeated at Sari Pol, and within 3 years had lost both Samarkand and his principality of Fergana. There was always hope at that time, however, for a prince with engaging qualities and strong leadership abilities. In 1504, Babur seized Kabul with his followers, maintaining himself there against all rebellions and intrigues. His last unsuccessful attempt on Samarkand, 1511–12, induced him to give up a futile quest and concentrate on expansion elsewhere. In 1522, when he was already turning his attention to Sindh, now a province in Pakistan, and India, he finally secured Kandahar, a strategic site on the road to Sindh. When Babur made his first raid into India in 1519, the Punjab region was part of the dominions of Sultan Ibrahim Lodh of Delhi, but the governor, Daulat Khan Lodh, resented Ibrahim's attempts to diminish his authority. By 1524, Babur had invaded the Punjab 3 more times, but was unable to master the tangled course of Punjab and Delhi politics sufficiently enough to achieve a firm foothold. Yet it was clear that the Delhi Sultanate was involved in contentious quarreling and ripe for overthrow. After mounting a full-scale attack there, Babur was recalled by an Uzbek attack on his Kabul kingdom, but a joint request for help from Alam Khan, Ibrahim's uncle, and Daulat Khan encouraged Babur to attempt his 5th and first successful raid. Setting out in November 1525, Babur met Ibrahim at Panipat, 80 kilometers north of Delhi, on April 21, 1526. Babur's army was estimated at no more than 12,000, but they were seasoned followers, adept at cavalry tactics, and were aided by new artillery acquired from the Ottoman Turks. Ibrahim's army was said to number 100,000 with 100 elephants, but its tactics were antiquated and it was dissentious. Babur won the battle by coolness under fire, his use of artillery, and effective Turkish wheeling tactics on a divided, dispirited enemy. Ibrahim was killed in battle. With his usual speed, Babur occupied Delhi 3 days later and reached Agra on May 4th. His first action there was to lay out a garden, now known as the Ram Bagh, by the Yamuna River. That brilliant success must have seemed at the time to be of little difference from one of his former forays on Samarkand. His small force, burdened by the oppressive weather and located 1,300 kilometers from their base at Kabul, was surrounded by powerful foes. All down the Ganges River valley were militant Afghan chiefs, in disarray but with formidable military potential. To the south were the kingdoms of Malwa and Gujarat, both with extensive resources, while in Rajasthan, Rana Sanga of Mewar was head of a powerful confederacy, threatening the whole Muslim position in northern India. Babur's first problem was that his followers, suffering from the heat and disheartened by the hostile surroundings, wished to return home as Timur had done. By employing threats, reproaches, promises and appeals, vividly described in his memoirs, Babur diverted them. He then dealt with Rana Sanga, who, when he found that Babur was not retiring as his Turkish ancestor had done, advanced with an estimated 100,000 horses and 500 elephants. With most of the neighboring strongholds still held by his foes, Babur was virtually surrounded. He sought divine favor by abjuring liquor, breaking the wine vessels, and pouring the wine down a well. His followers responded both to that act and his stirring exhortations and stood their ground at 𝙎ᴜ, 60 km west of Agra, on March 16, 1527. Babur used his customary tactics, a barrier of wagons for his center, with gaps for the artillery and for cavalry sallies, and wheeling cavalry charges on the wings. The artillery stampeded the elephants, and the flank charges bewildered the Rajputs, who, after 10 hours, broke, never to rally under a single leader again. Babur now had to deal with the defiant Afghans to the east, who had captured Lucknow while he was facing Rana Sanga. Other Afghans had rallied to Sultan Ibrahim's brother Mahmud Lod, who had occupied Bihar. There were also Rajput chiefs still defying him, principally the ruler of Chandri. After capturing that fortress in January 1528, Babur turned to the east. Crossing the Ganges, he drove the Afghan captor of Lucknow into Bengal. He then turned on Mahmud Lodu, whose army was scattered in Babur's third great victory, that of the Ghaghara, where that river joins the Ganges, on May 6, 1529. Artillery was again decisive, helped by the skillful handling of boats. Babur's dominions were now secure from Kandahar to the borders of Bengal, with a southern limit marked by the Rajput Desert and the forts of Ranthambore, Gwalior and Chandari. Within that great area, however, there was no settled administration, only a congeries of quarreling chiefs. An empire had been gained but still had to be pacified and organized. It was thus a precarious heritage that Babur passed on to his son Humayun. In 1530, when Humayun became deathly ill, Babur is said to have offered his life to God in exchange for Humayun's, walking 7 times around the bed to complete the vow. Humayun recovered, Babur's health declined, and Babur died the same year.